And we're back. Sorry about that.
Fuck, that was so weird.
Yeah, apologies.
Hey, everybody's still here anyway. Thank you for
guys,
sticking by.
Thanks for sticking by. Sorry about that. I'm not sure. We'll check it out.
Okay. What did I say?
Drow. Is it about the drow?
Drow bad.
Do you support the drow?
That's it.
Drow bad,
Yes,
people
that's
good.
it. Are you here to? Are you here? Are you here on the side of these drow? Have you chosen now, right on the eve of our battle, to make an appearance before us?
Definitely on the plans A.
I have appeared before you, yes, in a time of a crossroads. But not on the side of the drow. On the side of their survival. And their survival relies on you. And that is my favor. Save them.
Sounds legit.
Is there a schism on where your loyalties are?
My loyalties are to my people.
Or your people displaced from your love?
Brooke, what are you talking about?
It's my friend.
No, I just mean I don't understand what you're saying.
I think what he's asking is, how have they strayed so far?
They remain loyal to me. It is the Mother Matron that is a danger to them.
It's pretty obvious that you have the ability to stop her. Why don't you do that?
Her loyalty to me has waned, and she receives whispers from another.
Yeah.
No.
Who?
That information has been clouded to me. I know not. I do not care much as to who she has taken faith with now, but it puts the rest of her people in danger, my servants. She has fallen low, and it is because you are seeking her out that I appeal to you. What were your intentions with her truly?
Oh, we were gonna kill her.
We were going to kill
We were absolutely gonna kill her.
Well,
Right?
Any blessings was
I think-
bestowed upon us.
I think the primary objective was to end her plague, and that
Yes.
was implied that her life would be.
Yeah, I mean, if she's dead, she can't like disease everyone, right? It makes sense.
That's not normally how diseases work, but this I'm confused about.
Maybe Lolth could weigh in on this
The
subject.
original vector of the disease is not important for the.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't
Continuation.
really want to be here. I kind of wanted to not be here at all.
I believe the originator of this illness that you seem to want to stop, this Red Death that it has been named, originated from her and whomever she is whispering to.
Wonder if she's in with like the Lord of Blades.
Is it really a disease, or is it something else?
It's magical in nature.
So it's a curse.
It affects living creatures and presents itself with physical attributes. Therefore, you all have regarded it as a disease, I see it more like a curse, yes.
I just have one question then. What does it mean for you to be a god?
She sort of closes her eyes for a moment. She turns almost in place in a bit of a 360 and is looking around the steps up the stairs into oblivion that never end and just disappear after your eyesight follows those steps up. And she even looks past, almost through the mist, beyond whatever is unseen to you, and turns back around and looks at you again. To be supreme, to be loved, to be powerful, unstoppable. Immortality, many words, all mixed. It is an unimaginable thought for mortals to attain. And the responsibility, Cha, is just as great. And that is why I wonder why some of these gods have become silent. Some of them, and she looks directly downward, she says, some of them merely are drunken fools who are scared of the situation at hand and do nothing.
What is it that you will do then? Do you have some wisdom for us?
Perhaps it is time I told you that your path has strayed. But not on your fault. You do not know and realize the reason why these gods are more silent than others. The great dragons sleep still. Those gods that have risen, I call them archdevils, would-be gods, filth. They are rising in their stead. Tiamat,
You're speaking of Frezzo Blue?
Fraser Blue, Duoblex, and others are seeking to rise out and change this course. And my other responsibility here is to make sure this does not happen. I can only do that through you.
Why?
Hmm?
Why?
Other heroes have been sent forth as well. Some more
just don't
successful
understand.
than others.
If you're supreme, why do you need us?
I feel like it's justified. I feel like it makes sense.
So what you're saying is, There's no other group, and I slowly turn my head and look at Molestra. More powerful than the 5, better equipped to handle this situation.
Have you not seen what the 12 have become?
Yes.
Frieza was a jerk.
Useless. Except for Molestra. And gestures Molestra.
Molestra looks to you, Thorin, and turns to Lolth. And she speaks for the first time in front of her. Perhaps it is time to put our faith in others.
Can I roll insight? Is she just trash talking the 12 to
Go
get
for
on
it.
my good side?
Now these other heroes are part of this dragon prophecy also.
These other?
You said that other heroes were sent forth.
They have their own story in the prophecies.
Do they all die too?
It is still being written. But ultimately, if those who have their say, these demon lords, continue to go unchecked, the cracks of Corvair will become larger and wider, and we will suffer all the more for it. Gods are limited, to your point, Char, in that if our own selves were to walk Corvair, it would most likely see the end. Our powers are different in our realm compared to Corvair. The material plane has no place for those still with godhood. The magics that are wielded through us can cause unimaginable damage. We have ways, some ways, to limit this. We
19.
go, yeah, go on.
I was a 19. on that
19.
insight check.
Yeah. Let me send you something. What's everyone else doing while this is happening? Just looking on? Doing anything else?
I'm just listening. I'm like, I believe her. I will, however, say something if that's okay.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I talk, guys? No, I'm joking. I'm sorry, that was a terrible inside joke that no one will understand. Couch Goblin lost it though. So, Lolth, since we're like really good friends now, I just want to ask, in the simplest way possible, what do you want us to do? Because I feel like we can do it.
Whomever the matron mother is speaking to, sever that connection.
Do you wish to know whom she's speaking to?
And do we need to kill her?
That would obviously sever the connection, I would hope.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, just
Me?
yeah, please.
Just confirming. Killing her would sever the connection.
That is one way to do this, yes.
And does she want to know who she's speaking to?
And do we need to kill her?
No, not necessarily.
Would you prefer if we did?
I would prefer she lives. Prior to her becoming silent to my ears and and the prayers that she has provided. She was loyal. She survived. And she was a good leader to the drow.
So you wish us to educate her in your majesty?
That would be a wish, yes. I haven't yet said to you what your reward would be.
Oh, we don't need a reward. It's fine.
My servitude towards you would be a reward enough.
Yeah.
Surely, when I hear that, surely I'm sus on that.
Yeah, you have a bit of a suspicion now.
I feel like we're all friends here. Like
You have a bit of a
friends
suspicion now.
do each
Yeah,
other
okay.
favors. We can do this.
I'm
It's
Not
fine.
as dapper as my friend, but yeah, we are friends.
I'm going to cast Calm Emotions, and on just all of us.
Okay.
So I'm going to attempt to suppress strong emotions in a group of people. I can suppress any effect causing a target to be charmed or frightened. There's not really a... Yes, it's a charisma save of 15.
Alright.
So I roll.
Yep.
We all need to roll
I've
again.
rolled.
But you can choose to fail this if you would like to.
I feel like we wouldn't choose to fail it.
Shouldn't you roll a charisma check?
No, it's just a saving throw on your part.
I feel like we wouldn't choose to.
For the purposes of this throw, they will need to roll against you, yes.
Of course, I rolled really well. Just rolled a natural 16.
Does that mean? 16. Because they're charisma?
Charisma.
16.
And
16.
your DC?
15.
15.
Unfortunately,
Fucking couch goblin's just like, I can't do this anymore.
unfortunately, the power that this goddess seems to...
I thought we had to roll.
But I can
over
feel
that.
the
You-
spell not work.
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Surely that's enough to confirm that something's going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have great suspicions that something's going on between Rook and Amara.
So I'm going to turn to Lolth and say, end the spell which clouds their judgment. They would never work for free. They would not give up one copper
I
to
would
anyone.
work for free.
No, you
Yes, I would. I've never asked for a reward.
By the
In
way,
most
go on.
instances, I have not asked for a reward.
They would never work for you for free.
By the way, the answer to that text was no. No.
There's secrets
She is
in
not.
this group. I don't know about this.
And to that point, make a persuasion check.
Last thing I'll say, how
Please.
can I trust you when you cloud their minds?
Hey.
Hey, 18.
18. You are stout fast in judgment and a good companion. And as she nods, all of a sudden, Amara and Rook, you feel yourself just take a breath and see Lolth in front of you, not as a friend anymore, but just as a being that performs some sort of magical charm on you. You are aware of this effect.
Rook, I think you were talking about how you wanted to work for free.
Free?
Yes.
It's kind of dazed. Under what circumstances? Do I know what I've been talking about?
Yep, you recall all of that conversation.
Yes, that does seem odd. And I don't feel like my utter concentration was applied to this conversation.
I would, however, work for free if I believed in the cause, just for the record. Just to keep the record straight, I would do that, but not for her.
Yes.
And I say, does this maiden, has she suffered the same burdens of your charms? And does your loyalty come underneath the price?
Know
Or is
this.
it even honest?
Know this,
She
Rook.
charmed us.
of Onatar. I could do that again, and again, and again, and again, until your mind was mine. And now you can see that there is a dark shadow behind her as she seems to simply grow. And you can see that her back now extends as large spider-like legs, like one massive claw, appears around her and just becomes wider and wider.
Woo! This is going well.
So it's obedience you seek. not
I
mercy.
seek a favor. I do this as a true indication that I am here this once as equals. Do not test.
Then which?
Rook, I don't think you should talk anymore. I think you should be quiet.
Stop your pleasantries, take off your mask, and speak true.
Oh. Lolth, if I can, but I will just say, I get it. You want to save your people. I want to save mine too, which you probably already know. You've probably seen that or guessed it. So I get that sentiment, and it actually sounds like we have similar goals, right? We were sent here to kill the Mother Matron. She wants us to sever the ties, and we can do that by killing her. Here's the thing I'm not okay with. I don't really want to worship you. So that's where I'm at. Just so you know.
I asked not for your faith. And you can see that these large black spider legs that grew out of her back are starting to retract now. And the shadow is disappearing slowly as she eventually just becomes just a normal looking drow, a bit beautiful. I did not ask you to worship me. What I asked was for your help, for I cannot. And
Here's what I'm thinking, guys. I'm going to interrupt her.
please.
Here's what I'm thinking, guys. We just go after our goal, and if it achieves hers in the process, then fucking good on her. But we do it for our own mission and not for hers.
As you finish that sentence, her arm extends
Oh no.
sideways, not towards anyone, but towards this smoke, to her left. And she simply almost uses her fingers to beckon. And you can see that the smoke is disturbed slightly, this pink and grey. And through the mist, walking slowly out, this female, no longer red-eyed and fanged, but one of human form, of normality and living. Osei steps out, and she is simply, at the moment, slightly billowing with smoke all around her, and she simply turns and stands, and the smoke slowly gets pulled back into this wall, this barrier, and silently she looks at you. Godhood, Char, does not come without its benefits, its rewards, power I have given to you. Should you do this my way, here, she will return as she once was, before the affliction. And that is what you have been seeking.
I'm looking at Mara.
What is your way?
Find the matron mother and see her live, and destroy that which keeps her hidden from me. If you should fail, you will not be punished. You are not drow, my kind, who know their loyalty and their knowledge. But you will lose your friend.
I don't see a problem with not killing her. If she's corrupted, then maybe she's safe for it.
How will you end the plague without killing her?
The circumstances in which she is receiving this is beyond my sight. Whichever demonic creature has her mind and her soul now, I believe gives this disease to her, through her. All I know is that breaking this string of slavery that she is under, that will resolve your plight.
It is only Ado's will that the disease be ended, not that the All-Mother die. I see no problem with this.
Can I just ask, you mentioned a name before, some kind of demon lord. I missed it. It wasn't Father Blue, it was another one.
I suspect Juiblex.
Who is that?
A demon lord of the 6th layer. He fits the description. A slimy, putrid, enveloper of people's bodies. He simply exists to spread plight, chaos, evil, and disease.
Have you heard of this guy before?
You can certainly roll religion checks, anyone who wants to. Tell me if you roll and what you roll.
18.
18. Okay, that's enough. There's a couple of things that you do know. So, Juiblex is known by a couple of names. The Faceless Lord, the Oozing Hunger. It's a god of noxious horror, and Lolth seems to be correct that he does lord over the 6th layer of Kaiba. In terms of I guess, other effects and things that are about him. Let's have a look. Probably one of the more mindless demon lords, but cunning. He simply exists to overtake people's bodies and have servants that look like him, and he does have formidable armies in his lair that are babbling, mindless creatures that simply infect, overtake, kill. He doesn't have a goal, simply domination. And you had seen a picture of him once in a book. And for those who didn't escape without their minds, this is the rough understanding of what he would look like.
I relay all of that written information to you, and I describe him as a sort of weird black tentacly thing rising out of a pool of slimy effervescence. That's what the photo looked like. It's been a long time since I've seen that picture, but that's what it looked like. Of course, that could just be an interpretation.
How does his power compare to yours?
I would say greater.
You said that out loud?
Yeah, I said that out loud.
Okay. She looks to you, Char, and she says, if I were to step into his realm, he has dominance. If it were the opposite, I could call upon my servants quicker. The power that flows through them that I would give would end him and send him back. But archdevils are spirits. To kill them, they need to be destroyed in their own realm. Osei simply stands and looks. She has not said anything. A plain-faced human in the same dress that she wore as she died.
How far away am I from Mara?
You're all within 10 feet of each other.
Am I considered frightened now that okay.
I take a step towards Mara and like around her in a grip.
Mm-hmm.
Would you call it FATES grip?
Oh,
Amara,
I knew it. Go on.
don't be fooled by what you see here. Under breath, talk to her.
I'm going to turn and look at my companions and Malestra and say, I think we're in agreement. We would like our friend back. But I have to ask, what will you be returning to us? The human soul that she lost a long time ago? Or all of her experiences?
She will know her life.
What does it matter?
Because she might be pulled from a better place, kicking and screaming back into this plane of imperfection. Would you appreciate it if I tore you out of heaven?
That's not what I meant.
That is why I asked.
If this were to ease your mind, she wanders, lost. She calls out, and no one replies. Where she is,
Stop.
Is this what happens to those who are faithless? Faith.
Self-concern.
She was undead. She will be returned to you as human, unscarred by any physical properties, but scarred with her memories of her time as a vampire. That is something she will have to live with until she draws her last breath again.
And you reside over the dead, yes?
I see those of my servants who die. I see the veil that they enter. But my sight does not go beyond that. Nerul governs the place of death.
So you would be the one that plucks her out of her plane she's currently in.
That would be correct.
And who resides over that? Whom would you anger?
Fear not. Nerul and I have made an agreement.
No rules.
Nerul. Nerull.
Never heard of that before.
Religion check. For those who would like to.
15.
Know him by a couple of names. He is definitely known as the god of death, but there's an evil to him. He's also known as the foe of all good, hater of life, bringer of darkness, king of all gloom, reaper of flesh. You know his symbol is a skull and a scythe. And most people who worship him are people like necromancers and other intelligent undead creatures. You believe or you think that either I say being a vampire on death went to him because of that, because of him being a patron god of the undead and of necromancy, or there is a chance that during her human life she also worshipped him. You're not sure. So through him, I have agreed to bring her back. She will be untouched by her curse, for she has died. And you know well that one who dies as undead can be reformed as they were once. What I cannot guarantee is how her mind will react to this sudden pull. It may take some time for her to be restored fully. Her flesh will live, but you may need to help her through other.
I do not object.
I do not trust you, Molestra then starts to say. You seem to me, Lolth, queen of the drow, to simply be spiteful, evil. You have always been. I cannot abide by this deal.
Can I insight check the deal that she's propositioned?
The on Lolth? Lolth?
Well,
Yeah, make an insight. Sure.
I might be along with that. I too cannot make any pacts with you. Though our goals may be aligned for this, I do not trust you.
Trust you need not have. I know not if you will accomplish this. I know not if you want to. I'm simply offering something that you have seemed to find important.
And does Dublex, does he come for you?
Let me deal with that creature.
To me, you're both creatures.
She smirks again. I accept that observation, Rook. What'd you roll?
19.
19? Yep. Let me send you something.
Let me send you something.
Text or messenger? See.
Okay, sent. So, before this undertaking, I must tell you. Your exit is up these stairs. Where it will take you is to the very heart of your destination. I advise caution. I advise some protection. From their sight.
I think that's something you could provide. I mean, if we all look like drow.
You will be able to walk freely through. Their magical abilities are greater than other drow in other places. I have a special interest in Tel Nakel, and for that reason I provided them with other gifts, boons. Should I transform you, they might still see past, but I can do this. Malash returns to everyone and says, do not trust her. I can provide the invisibility again.
I'm just gonna hide in the shadows.
I'm going to look up at Lolth and say, I think you are trying to bluff us. It is you who has the most to lose in this situation. If we leave the All-Mother alive, and she commands the drow, when, and from the way you speak, it is a matter of when you are attacked by this demon prince, you will not have any of your followers' strength to aid you, and you will most certainly be defeated. That's why you appear to us now in this cavern, right on the eve of battle. You can still have what you want, though. We do not trust you, and our companions, well, my companions are not so willing to compromise as I am. They cannot strike a bargain with you. So you must make a show of good faith. Return her to us, and I gesture at Osei. And then we will do as the 5 have always done, and keep our word. We'll sever the connection and leave her alive. Or if you deny her to us, out of sheer spite, I will kill the All Mother and then make sure that every one of those drow knows it was the power of Ado that did it.
Power of a goddess. And she's looking between you, Thorum, and you, Amara, just into infinity, as though she's simply just thinking aloud, pondering to herself. The power of a goddess stands with her followers. Should they not exist, nor does the god. The gesture of her hand rises, and Osei steps forward. And steps forward again, stepping down onto another step, and another, and this slight glow seems to surround her, of pink and yellow. And you can see on her face this blank stare. And she was not looking at any of you. Now turns and looks towards you, Thorin, with a bit of a look, and then to you, Amara, blank-faced, and then for the first time to you, Rook, and then to you, Gunnar.
Can I ask how she looking? She looking shaky?
Make a
or-
perception check.
Can I also
Yeah.
do the same? I'm perceptive with this bitch.
You're
22.
perceiving Osei?
Yeah,
Yeah, 15.
15 and
22.
22. The one thing you do notice, Amara, is there's none of the usual breathing movement. Very subtle movement, but something that you haven't noticed yet from Osei, as though someone living would present. You both notice that she neither appears afraid, nor glad, nor happy. No emotion at all comes from her. And up until this point, she had not really acknowledged you, apart from simply looking straight ahead. And now she is. And no other emotion comes from it. There's not a scratch on her. She starts to breathe, and she's panting, and she's holding her chest.
Can I reach out towards her?
She collapses on you, and make a dexterity check as you reach out to try and catch her.
22.
Yep, yeah, no issue. She just simply falls, and she is shaking uncontrollably as you catch her with both hands, and she's sort of leaning completely on you, and you're sort of using your weight to hold her upright, like in a bit of a triangle like phase, and she's still a step above you, so it's a bit of weight on you. She's almost collapsed, and then you feel some strength come back to her. She pushes you away slightly, and with your shoulders as support, looks directly in your face and breathes. Rook?
Yes. Are you alright? And I clasp her neck. From the back. It's like football hand. I'm not lying.
think so. What happened? Where am I?
You were with us now. And for some time you were gone.
What? I last remember being on the bridge, being held up, and I don't know what happened after that.
You got melted by acid. Fortunately, you don't remember that part. That would have been incredibly traumatic. You should count yourself lucky.
I kind of gesture in front of her face to distract her from that.
Mara.
Calm yourself for a few moments. We have a deal here that we have to understand. And all will be explained. Are you right to stand? What is she wearing?
She's wearing the same clothing, sort of a dress with a bit of a tunic underneath that she wore as she passed.
Does she still look at necklace?
No, she does not. And she looks towards you, Amara, and you, Gunnar, and you, Thorum, and to Malestra briefly. I am weak and I feel different. What is different? I don't understand.
I pull a bit of ration out. This to it.
Does anyone have any water?
Can you taste this?
She sort of picks up some nuts and some raisins and she puts it to her lips. Yes?
Would that be out of character question? She couldn't taste things before, could
She could.
Or she didn't have a hunger before.
I didn't think she could either.
As a vampire,
Yeah.
you do not need to eat, as she explained, but the joys of
It's
tasting...
okay, some of us remember.
That's okay. The joys of tasting it was still there.
That's actually from Twilight. That's what we're thinking of.
Yeah.
That's the
Big Twilight fans.
I see. Sorry. I'm not into it myself, but yeah.
Does she explain it at all?
I love that you had to explain that. That was the best one. I don't like Twilight. I mean...
might look into it. She looks like she's eating.
Yeah.
She looks like her pale face is no longer there. There's colour in her cheeks and in her skin that she's not had before, ever.
The drow blade I picked up. I pulled it out.
The long sword?
Yeah. Is there a reflection on that?
Yeah, there is.
I hold it in the best light that is possible.
It's light everywhere, and as you hold it up for that intention,
And say, do you see this? And try and show her.
she looks towards the sword, and her eyes widen. I see it. I see it. I see me.
I'm just doing like anxiety pacing, like around the like feet from these people. I'm just
Yep.
like pacing. I'm doing the hand shaking out thing, doing like the hair thing that people do. So a combination of like I do it a lot. That's like my anxious thing is I grab my hair a lot. So I'm just doing a combination of really weird erratic behaviors away from people.
Okay.
Like got sweat on me and shit.
Yep.
Like it's not good. I don't look great.
All right. Good to know.
Paler than normal.
She's a vampire.
It's been transferred.
Hey.
Am I wearing the necklace still?
Yes, you are.
I can feel it.
You can feel it.
I'm just gonna hold on to it through my shirt
All right.
as well.
What? How am I here?
Her.
She turns to her side now and sees Lolth for the first time. I'm grateful, my lady, but I don't understand.
As you say that, I'm going to say, You should save your gratitude. It was a bargain struck by us.
She is not a lady. She is a god.
Mosay sort of shakes her head slightly, looks back to her briefly, looks back to you, Gunnar, and says, who else? Who else could have?
When I said that she's not a lady, that she looking at Lolth, did she react to that statement?
So I speak to Lolth and say, very well, you've held up your end of the bargain. And I gesture to the end of the staircase. And I think it is time for us to hold up ours. Would you have anything else of us?
I do not. Thorum. Keep him close. Keep your lord very close. For if other gods are going silent, then there may not be much time.
I nod my head.
I do, however, have one more thing. Resolve the Red Death. But then resolve these prophecies. In the high mountains, across the sea to the north, there lies their domain, and they sleep on high rocks. Wake them. Wake the great worms of Corvair, and have them take back the prophecies which were stolen from them, so that the gods may come forth and drive these arch-devils, and the one that is taking advantage of them all, Fraser Blue, back before your world is snuffed out. And with that, she turns. And as she does, you can see that from the very tips of her head, as though like emerging forth from some sort of burrow, you see little tiny spiders emerge from the top of her head, and as it does, she seems to shrink and shrivel as more of these spiders, hundreds of them, emerge, and she becomes smaller and smaller, as though she is being sucked into the ground as an effect. But in fact, these spiders are overtaking her entire body, and they start to drop and land heavily onto the ground, but then scatter in two directions to the sides, whereby these chittering these spiders then in their thousands become her, and her arms and her legs no longer are visible beneath this mound of insects, and they eventually disappear and disperse into this wispy smoke. And silence greets you.
Something tells me that if we killed those spiders, that would have gone a bit differently.
Yes, I'm glad we did not have to fight her. Also,
I
that
don't
took a
think it
long...
would be a fight.
That's true. It took a long time for her to disappear into spiders. It took like 30 seconds. Just saying, usually people disappear with like a puff of smoke or something like that.
I say still holding on to you,
Yeah.
but her gaze has moved towards Thorum Gunner and a pacing Amara. Is she alright?
Come, you mustn't worry about that at the moment. Yeah, take some more rations and I provide her with the water and the food.
She drinks heavily, but she only eats a little.
Yep. How are you feeling?
I feel okay. Did you do this? Did you... What did you give up?
I
You shouldn't have done this.
Nothing.
I could take responsibility for this, but not my chosen way to bring you back. We would have Thorum's wit and charisma that has done so. We're not in the safest of places. How are you feeling?
I don't know where I am, but I feel grateful. I feel grateful to be alive for one thing, but to see you all survive the dragon attack and be here. I do not know where we are, but to have you simply here is more than I could have hoped for.
I grab her by both shoulders. And friend, I share this with you, but
I was in such a deep, like, poker face until I
I'm gonna stop touching people.
I'm sorry.
Now is really not the time to rejoice. We're in the middle of the Bora Holds, and in quite a bit of danger.
This is the Moral Holds. What a marvellous thing the dwarves have made.
Not so much now. It's been stricken.
Ah,
I hate to ask this of you. How are you with your sword?
Can I see anything on the floor? Is there anything on the ground?
make an investigation check.
I think that's really wrong. Play it where it lands.
I'm happy to do that. Not looking for anything overly important.
Okay.
Just specifically, I'm just looking for like rock or something.
Sure.
You said investigation.
Yep.
That is a 12.
12.
Roll a 3, by the way.
Wow. Yeah, it's where it lands unless it's on the ground. House rules. Looking around for a couple of seconds, the realm of Lolth, as such as it is very clean. The slate, the grey slate that makes up these stairs, masterfully wrought to the point that you can see that there's wear. Well, you can see that they've been well used, but no wear occurs. There's no loose rock or anything like that. But what you do realize is that looking to the sides, there is something beyond the smoke. Probably more realm, more of her home.
So it hasn't dissipated. The smoke is still there.
Smoke is still there. But something's preventing you from physically seeing through it, to see what lies beyond.
I don't think she should fight. I think we should take her home.
No, do not worry about me. I actually feel good. And she asks she holds her hand out for the sword.
I may have something more suited towards your certain talents. And I look over at the dead body. And I'm gonna find, see if there's any equipment on him, like weapons.
Okay.
We can't let her do this. We just got her back.
You need to you need to physically follow her as you're saying that because she's still pacing. But you do say that. You do walk up to her and say that.
Alright. Hey, you have the hat.
Roll investigation.
Don't get advantage with.
Yeah.
He's wearing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Never mind. But still. That's what he gave it to you.
14.
You did, and I told you that I wasn't wearing it.
14 in total.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah.
There is a single dagger that was missed that is secreted in in the boot. It's actually quite long, and it's a thin, three-pronged dagger essentially. Three small, one large, like a little trident basically. It has a very, very thin, long middle blade. It's about a good foot long, and then on either side, half a foot of blade as well. Very well made, very drow-like.
Do I recognize this as one of his dealies that he throws down and returns?
No, it's a bit different. Seems like just a hidden dagger.
No. I take the dagger out. Is this up your alley?
It is. I can wield it. I can wield it well. I can be of use. It's the least I can do to repay you. I feel indebted. Yes, I can use both at once. No problem. Thorum, I hear I have you to thank all the more. Perhaps you can speak of Ado to me at some stage, and we can strike up some study.
So, most of what I learned about Ado was told to me while I was locked in a dark, dank dungeon. I look around the cabin around it. So it would be appropriate, I think, you to hear of his tale after we leave this place. But
I would invite it. If there's any kind of bravery or courage that I can learn, that you have learned, that I can learn from you, I would be all the better.
I nod. Confused, but I nod. I'm like, okay, yes.
Guys, we have the ability to leave and come back. I don't think that we should bring our Fae with us. Sorry.
I look down at her and go, I think she is equally as vulnerable now as she was when she came with us before.
If not more.
Yes. But I think if any of us had been splashed in acid back in that cave, you really don't remember any of that acid? If any of us had been splashed in acid back in that cave, we'd be equally as melted. Well, I'd have been equally as melted, and I'm here.
Yes.
Molestra, we do not have time to dawdle, do we?
It is unwise that we do.
I agree, Rick. I agree, Rook. We should be off. If Osei wants to come with us...
Did you just call you Rick?
Rook. I said Rook. Rick.
I'll take Rick.
I agree with you, Pete. Let's head off. If Osei wants to come with us, it should be her choice. As long as she understands how incredibly look at her. As long as she understands how incredibly dangerous and likely to die we all are.
You heard what Lolth said. You may not trust her, but she has no reason to lie about the fragility of her Fae.
She's human.
Am I still with just Osei?
Yep.
I
Is this you're not making this conversation quiet, are you?
No.
You can all hear this.
I talked to Osei, not privately, but just within close proximity, and said, you should check in on him.
Are you ready to lose her again?
Yes.
Is
I-
everyone as willing as you?
I look at Amara too. I'm like, all right, perhaps not, but it's not our decision to make.
I say, take your weapons, Rook, and slowly walks a little bit closer towards Amara and where you are, Gunnar. Amara, I'm really here. And I thank you for saving my life. But I wish you would talk. I wish you would say you are as glad to see me as I am of you. I wish I could repay what you have done.
I don't really know what to say right now.
Whatever you have done to bring me back, I hope it was not for detriment of you all and the circumstances that we are in. Take your time, Amara, but I will want. Thank you very much. Oh, I am drinking.
I like that you're drinking off camera.
I will want to converse with you at some point, whether the danger has passed or hasn't. And I appreciate your concern, Gunnar. But to what end? Why can't I accompany you?
You died because of us. Not our fault, but because you were with us. We can't protect you. We can barely keep ourselves alive.
Did I ask for your protection?
No,
Have I ever?
it doesn't change the fact that it impacts us if we lose you.
And if one of you others were to die, would it not do the same thing? Perhaps worse. Something we must all live with, is it not? We must bear it. Whether heartache or joy.
We didn't just get resurrected from the dead,
I'm fine.
from the undead. When was the last time you were alive?
Some time. It has been some time. But that is not affecting me at all.
Yeah.
Perhaps this cave is not the time to unrepress our emotions. Perhaps we should repress them until the danger is gone.
Danger? Wait. What is our goal?
You already explained
Do you remember anything after or before your death?
We were coming here to end the Red Death.
And that is still our goal. You've not been gone for long. 2-3 days.
I see. Well, can someone, Malestra, can you turn me invisible so that I can help these stubborn 5, which I shall now call you? She now starts to be a bit mirthful. With I shall now call you if you do not accompany me, or if cannot accompany you. Stubborn 5.
Friend, if this is what you wish, you're within my help.
I don't see an effect. I'm not affected by this. I don't know what the concern. Amara, are you as concerned as Gunnar?
I watched you die. You tell me.
Can I use cast it?
You certainly can. Sure.
Direct that.
Sure. No problem at all. And saving throw?
Not initially. Initially, I just gained surface thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Cool. And how long does that last, that initial one?
Until I get a response, and then I can choose to push deeper if I want.
Okay.
The spell entirely lasts for a minute.
Yep. And do you only get the one?
1 minute.
One thought.
No, I can hold it for a minute.
Good. Good to know. As you close your eyes quickly and cast the spell, you just read the entrance of her thoughts. Initially nothing. And quickly as it disappeared, fear. As to what, you don't know. Then, as quickly as it came, from nothing to anger, and then hate, and then concern, and then joy. All these feelings, one after the other, in quick succession, and between them, passiveness. And that goes on repeat for the next 5 or 10 seconds.
She has to do a wisdom saving.
Okay. 17. As you attempt to push deeper into her mind, describe what more you can do.
If it fails, I gain insight to any of its reasoning, its emotional state, and anything that's large that looms on its mind. So that's something that it's worried about, it loves, hates, etc.
Okay. You see that the spell succeeds because you get a vision. You see her in a spotlight, surrounded by an extremely dark, small cage. And she's holding her knees to her chest. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. You get this enormous wave of fear, hopelessness. But to what circumstance you don't know. That's all she's doing, slightly rocking back and forth in this small cage, looking desperately around, wide-eyed.
Do I get the sense that she's a prisoner in her own mind? Like she's being held back?
She is being held back. You don't know the source, whether it's of her own doing or something else. But she does seem to be entrapped in a sense. As you end the spell, it only happens for but a few more seconds. As you exit, and she is simply facing you all with a concerned look towards you. says one more time, why can't I follow? And that is where we'll take our quick 10-minute break. Sorry again for the cutoff, but streaming again, thankfully. We'll get to the bottom of that, as I assure you. But hopefully you've enjoyed us bantering for thus far, halfway through. We will be 10 minutes, and at 8:45 we will come back. And I'm going to actually, while I do have this here, I'm going to fix this little old camera. There, thank you. All right, we'll see you all in 10 minutes, everybody. See you all soon.
Thank you.
And we're back. Well, most of us. We're just waiting on a couple more. The ones that matter. That's right. And now I see Molestra and Osei there too. So
They're in the middle, you can't see them.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
you are stuck in the middle with them.
Stuck in the middle.
Oh my god, why?
Because reasons. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed themselves so far. And again, apologies for that cut off earlier. We'll try and splice those two things together. Hello.
Hello, Sheldon.
Hello
you haven't
there.
been here all day.
Sheldon.
What the hell?
Whoa.
Back from the dead.
Hey. Cool. Well, I was going to shout out Aeon Crafts on Twitter and his
I'm
amazing
not.
dice. Pardon?
I'm not because
You're not?
I've already
Oh.
mentioned Aeon Craft. We had a joke about it in the chat.
Wow.
But the only time I rolled his dice tonight was when I rolled the nat one. So,
Always blaming people.
but
Yeah.
he did write back. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think you're just a bad roller. And I wrote back, so I wrote back, you're absolutely right. Like, that's correct.
Actually, you do roll just historically really bad.
Fuck off! I just rolled a natural 20.
Let's get back into the game and maybe we'll roll somewhere in between and get
Yeah,
a
let's go
passable
Lolth.
result. I don't know.
I love you, Aeon Craft.
Just before we jump in,
Please do.
one more thing, just to Eldritch Sky Gaming, who's just
Oh
left.
yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, but
Yeah.
also there's a lot of people from different parts of the world who watch us at like 2:30 a.m. If what the time that he's watching it as. If you're tuning in from the Netherlands or the UK, like some of you do, so
Yeah.
we really, really appreciate that. If you come in live and it's an ungodly hour of the night, so yeah, any amount that you can be here is awesome.
And if you're ever in Brisbane,
Yeah.
Yeah, hit us
Yeah,
up.
we catch up on
Yeah.
any episodes, check us out on YouTube.
Exactly right. Come to Brisbane, then check us out on YouTube. That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're not giving you our address.
Well, we'll meet you in a public place. How's that?
Yeah.
Behind a dumpster.
Behind the dumpster.
In an alleyway.
At
Nice.
2:30 in the morning.
I told you not to give my address.
Free money.
What the fuck?
Cash.
It is, however, Eldritch Sky Gaming's first time tuning into us ever. So shout out there.
Thank you.
And the feedback we got was good stuff so far, enjoyable roleplay.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Any other feedback, more than happy to receive it. And
NPCs and Sheldon.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
What?
I didn't know.
Really?
I was in WA.
Wow.
No, it's wah.
Yeah.
So with that,
I think it's more like a sharp one.
what? Yeah, that's true. I hope you're staying safe.
Anyway, we'll go back to this and
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're staying safe anyway, MVCDM. So let's bring it back in. Say she simply asks the question, why is it that I cannot accompany you? And waits for your reply as around you there is this ever-moving slight fog that obscures your vision to the left and the right, the staircase leading upward, awaiting your eventual departure from whatever realm that Lolth calls home.
I don't really want to lose you again.
I never want to be lost. It is, however, inevitable that we should all die. And I am seeing this as a second chance. One that, without your help, would not have occurred. I think we should embrace that. I think we should be thankful that we have another shot. Going together. Adventuring. Fighting like we did. I promise to be more careful. I do.
Not a lot you could have done about it last time. I'll be honest with you, that wasn't really something you could have avoided.
But that is also something we have to accept. I promise. I will do as much as within my power to protect you and to not leave you again.
I suggest we move.
I am ready. So am I. Malestra steps forward. In fact, she starts to take large strides up those stairs. She turns back after maybe 5 steps and her voice heightens somewhat. As she talks down, it echoes slightly through this hall. Are you coming?
I follow Malestra.
Amara, a word.
I don't have many room.
You don't need to talk. Just listen. No,
I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'll continue following you
Mm-hmm.
if you want me to walk on. You stop.
I waited for you, yeah.
In private.
Where?
If it was you that came back, would you not want to do the same for your friends?
What do you mean?
If it was you that we just returned from that smoke, would you wish to go home?
I don't know what I'd want. I haven't died before. And I think it depends on the person.
I'm asking you as a person, Amara. If you had died, and your friends brought you back, would you leave them?
I can't answer that. Because I don't know.
I think Osei has answered it for you. It's her choice.
I'm not questioning her choices. I just don't want her to die again. I didn't say she couldn't come with us. I didn't encourage her to come with us. I just said that I don't want to lose her.
Well, let's try our best not to.
I tried my best not to the first time.
And a second chance.
We'll see.
As they rejoin the group, I'm just finishing up talking to Osei, and you just hear a massive glob of acid.
What are you going to say again?
I'm just explaining it. And then I finished up by saying it took like 30 seconds. It took as long as that took that lady to turn into spiders and disappear.
If anything, her look is not one of worry, it's just fascination. Is that right?
Yeah.
I wonder how that felt. I wish not. I don't wish to feel it, of course, but. And then her face immediately turns into realization. I'm so sorry. I would imagine that would not have seemed pleasant to look on.
Yes.
Especially knowing that it may have been the last time you would have seen me.
Well, yes, it was indeed very traumatizing, but that's not why I'm telling you. Mostly I'm telling you so you appreciate the very interesting, really.
It is. No, don't get me wrong. I find it, in fact, quite interesting. I guess I never really delved too deeply in my own mortality because of the vampire thing. But
Well, acid will do the trick. We've learned that.
that is helpful. And
May I
I'm
ask?
grateful.
If we delivered your body back to your resting place, would you be regenerated?
There is a ritual that can be cast that, using the right tools, I would have returned, but as a vampire, yes. This seemed to be a more clean way. I don't really remember this body. I have
Oh,
to
speak
get
on that
used to it
subject.
again.
Did you feel at all poor when Thorum tried to revive you?
I'm sorry, I don't remember. I don't remember anything before I was picked up by the dragon.
It's best not to dwell on these things. I too believe my brain was turned to mush.
I'm glad you were in one piece and that you survived it. Well, I feel energized. Perhaps the adrenaline from being alive again, but I'm going to, and she turns with the dagger and the long sword at the ready, and she strides up behind Malestra, who's continuing forth.
I follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
Gonna be lost in line.
Yep. All right. So as you climb, I need everyone to make athletic checks, please.
Yay! Oh, that's a -1, not a +1. It's okay, I didn't roll Aemcraft's dice and I still rolled shit.
What'd you roll through?
So 14.
14.
Can we use acrobatics?
Amara?
9. If we could use acrobatics, I would have used
You
it.
cannot.
17. 19.
19, yep.
0.
Okay. Far behind Amara now, after a good 50 steps, and these are steps which are shoulder height to you, Thorum. They are large, which is why it takes some energy to climb them. You're having a lot of trouble.
Would
going-
we have perceived that these stairs were that big before climbing them?
No.
Okay.
In fact, initially they didn't seem that much, but they seem to become, they've graduated to be larger and larger.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Roll. Can I roll perception to see if Emma's struggling?
You already see it.
Can I
No,
assist him?
you can assist him. You go back down and with that roll help him forth so he doesn't go back too far. You can't carry him, but just because of the sheer effort that you need to get up them yourself. But you lend a shoulder, and you do manage to not leave him behind too
Come
far.
on, small friend.
Let me just roll a couple more rolls here for.
I'm going to begin to, if it's dark enough, just disappear into the shadows and shadow jump my way up, one step at a time.
Okay. For the readings and the knowledge you have on Lolth, Queen of the Drow, darkness being a friend of theirs, this place is odd. It shows almost no signs of shadows, apart from the one that she herself cast when she started to become a little bit upset.
Best.
But here, the light greys and the pinks are what greet you, and there is light here, and it becomes brighter as you go up the stair.
So the light's like uniform from every direction. It doesn't cause any shadows.
None at all.
Diffused. Does there appear to be a light source?
Looking around, nothing.
It's just like an ethereal body.
It's from all directions. But then abruptly stops when that smoke starts, which continues on either side of you. And as you get up further, a point appears where all of a sudden you turn around and behind you only a blink passes and your eyesight adjusts, and it is as though you have just left the tunnel in which you were in. For behind you is a large hall, no longer with that deep hole that brought you to Lolth's abode, but this long hall behind you that is completely filled with veins of sapphire and emerald, glistening in this light that's been all of a sudden appearing as small flames from torches. You step up one step, which is just, now that you look down, simply a bit of a break in the rock beneath you. You don't see anything anymore apart from this hall and an opening, a large cavern entrance where on either side there's a little bit of a hiding area for you to go behind to look around. For in front of you the rock turns to a beautiful grass and a pathway that leads into this new room.
Green grass?
Dark green. So you also notice in front of you, mixed in and in between the patches of this green grass, patches of grey moss. And you have this feeling, this hum that almost takes you to your center, a light hum that guides through the hall in front, or this cavern in front, and you almost immediately know the source of this hum. There are small pools of water, clear and deep blue, and surrounding these small pools of water in this almost garden, there are shoots of small and large light blue fungus and mushrooms that sprout from the ground, some of them almost as tall as you, and they have a slightly white glow around them, and that is the source of this humming. And there are patches of these all around in front of you, about 20 or 30 of them. And this small garden greets you where there are small frogs that jump from one place to another. In the pools there are little fish, schools of fish, that dive and jump and go back into the earth, into the water, sorry. And there are small rocks that make the perimeter around these pools as well. An enormous space in the center of this cavern is the next thing that you notice. Beyond this large garden, and the pathway leads towards this enormous mound in the earth where this hill gets higher and higher, and at the very top, what looks to be in the very far distance, almost a broken down cathedral this hill at the base is surrounded by a black stone wall, about 15 feet high, but quite thin. You get the smell of fish and earth and fungus greet you. You also see that between the garden, that actually, as you look left and right in this enormous cavern, seems to form the outside of this enormous place and goes in about 15 to 20 meters, about 30 to 40 feet. You see beyond that an open space where there are paths leading to and fro between homes made of the same sort of black stone, and each home seems to have a small tower that's connected to it. Each home, there are probably 100 of these homes well spaced out, and in between that, little streets, little paths. And then you see, the next thing you notice is that there are drow here. They go back and forth. Some of them look like guards or soldiers that are in pairs that patrol all around this space. The gardens, the homes, on the wall that leads into this hill that leads up to this broken down looking church with a broken steeple on it. Still that same black stone, but something's different about that building atop that hill. If you're not quite sure, there's just a feeling you get when you look at it. And then there are many other drow in this area. Females, males, children as well. And they're not, the children of drow are not playing, they're doing other activities. They're racing each other. They're sparring with each other with wooden sticks or even open blades, daggers. You see litters as well that people are carrying and pulling along what look to be curtained boxes that are lifted and carried with what you'd assume to be people within, of different sizes, and they go from destination to destination between homes. You see larger buildings in between these houses as well that look to be simply the same stone. They could be meeting homes, they could be shops, you're not quite sure from this distance. And then the smell of iron greets your nostrils as well, as you notice now in between all of this activity, people in chains and cages being carried or led from place to place. Dwarves that seem to be held up and bound. Humans, gnomes, halflings, elves, dirty, loincloths or naked completely, seem to be going here and there, that these drow of all ages seem to be pulling along. You even see a demonic orange furred creature with these massive horns bound as well, being led along by about 5 drow. This demon creature just seems to be submitting and being okay to be pulled along.
I'm going to turn to Malestra. Should you render us invisible now?
She puts her hand on her head. I guess I was mistaken. It seems this queen did have a goal for us, and she was true to her word. And here we are. A day or more beyond what our schedule is. And we are, and seem to have found, Tel Nakel.
Did she say we were early or we were late?
Early. Ahead of schedule.
So we do have time.
The armies are to meet us here.
To be honest, I'm surprised they have not already arrived and are engaging. I do not know. Wait. Her mouth turns upward into a bit of a smile. I think perhaps, I'm not sure, but they might be close. I can render us invisible if we need to explore this area before the dwarven army, or we can simply wait for them here and hide. But our purpose for her, she looks at her, say, is to find the Matron Mother. I'm wondering, should we go forth protected by my spell, or should we wait?
Hiding in plain sight seems to be not a terrible idea when we wait for the armies to amass.
I'd rather not storm this city alone.
If this is what we have to go through before we can deal with the Mother Matron, then perhaps waiting for the army is the better idea. We can skip ahead, I guess. At least we can allow the army some warning, acknowledgement of what may lay ahead.
Will the army permit us to allow the Mother Matron to survive?
The deal was that we wouldn't kill her, not that we would stay anybody's hand.
That is true.
5 keep their word, and they also choose their words very carefully.
I don't think that will matter to Lolth. Her words were, if she dies.
Perhaps we should at least wait for the army to arrive to create a distraction. It will allow us to sneak in easily.
How ridiculous of a thought, but could you not resurrect her?
Something is wrong. Nothing adds up.
I say, pipes up then. What do you mean?
Something's not right about.
I don't understand. With the Drow Queen, or where we are? Is there... If the army is on their way, perhaps we should wait. That is what I pick. But perhaps if one of us can turn invisible, we can scout. Perhaps see if the Matron Mother is up there. She sort of points towards the hilltop, or somewhere else. At least we know her location.
I'll
Perhaps
do
we
it.
could take one of these other.
If Molestra will do it, if she'll turn me invisible, I'll do it.
She's the most stealthy among us. If she's any of us, it should be you, Amara.
Molestra immediately closes her eyes and puts her hand towards you, and you can see these, through her 5 fingers, wisps of white energy of some kind touch you and then completely cover you, and you slowly fade into non-existence, and you're no longer being seen.
I'm just gonna cast Pass Without a Trace on myself as
Sure.
well. So where am I going?
Everyone hears it. They don't see Amara anymore.
I suggest you head deep into the city. Find them by rank, I assume. Every area will have somebody telling somebody what to do and someone telling them what to do. Follow the rank all the way to the top.
Rook, you can track me if you need to.
I know what you wear well enough. I can catch you.
Anyone want me to look out for anything else?
Would you wish to be accompanied?
Doesn't matter. I'm invisible. I won't stop anyone from coming if they don't want to, if they want
Might I
to.
remind you, Lolth did mention that whatever blessings she bestowed upon her friends here may be able to see through that. You might not be as invulnerable as you think.
I don't think I'm invulnerable. If someone wants to come, they can come. I don't mind. But you better be stealthy.
What if we flew?
I shake my head, but you don't see it.
I'm going to remain here, and I settle down with a crinkle of arm, very non-stealthy armor.
Amara, maybe you should fly.
I don't really want to fly.
It just means you won't have to walk past anyone. You'll be above them. It seems to me when you spend your life walking on the ground, living on the ground, you probably don't look up too much.
I've just never liked flying.
You don't have to like what you're doing.
I've never liked what we're doing in these caves, Gunnar.
That's right. That's my point.
But if I can stay comfortable, I will. And my comfort in what I know is on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
NBCDM. Yeah, who's just gifted a tier 1 subscription to Kahu and to Castellan 4173.
MVCDM,
so
thank
much.
you
And
very,
thank
very
you both
much.
for tuning in as well to watch.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Too kind.
Very nice of you, thank you.
Then I will come with you, and I will fly alone.
Okay. You can be my eyes in the sky.
I won't be able to see you, though.
There's a Top Gun reference in there.
That's
If,
true.
if I remember correctly, we can see each other with this particular invisibility
That is
spell.
correct.
Oh, never mind, I can see you.
Then I can speak to you in your mind as long as you don't stray further than 110 feet. For being specific. I know how my brain works.
I wish I did.
No, you don't.
All right. So Osei sits and starts to talk to you, Thorum, about Ado, and asks simple questions initially: who he is and where he comes from, and what he stands for, things like that. Just be aware that she's talking you through it a little bit quietly.
Yeah. As we're speaking, there's a lot of times where she asks me a question, and I'll default to the answer I learned, rather than what might be the official teachings
Okay.
that I'm meant to go from.
Good to know.
Trying to win some hearts and minds here, not
Yep.
bore people to death.
Okay. Good to know.
Fuck.
And
Manipulation through religion.
That's what we do.
and Rook, you stay as well,
Yep.
while Gunnar is turned also invisible.
Well, posture check, because
Yep.
Saz probably saw my
Thank you,
my real
Saz.
bad shoulders.
Appreciate it.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
You get turned invisible, but you can still see Amara, and vice versa, as you take to the sky, and you fly upward, staying within the distance required. Do you want to go the full 110 feet though, knowing that you'll still be in range of her speaking in your mind, or how high do you want to go? And you start, Amara. You're going forward.
Yeah.
I'll go about 100 feet.
Yep.
Like 30 meters above.
Good to know. All right. You don't need to make a stealth check. I'll get you to make one though, Amara, if that's okay, on the ground as you start to walk through.
So you get advantage for being invisible?
Yeah, let's do it.
There's so much thought to that. Wait, hold on. Pass without a trace. 32.
32? Okay. Alrighty.
Before I go though,
Please.
I just want to say to full room. I'll say it telepathically so no one else hears it.
Yep.
Keep an eye on the Fae. There is something really wrong with her.
Can I reply?
Sure.
If you're speaking about the trauma, I think that's all of us.
It's something else.
I nod. And I continue telling the tale of Ado.
Good to know. All right. As you know for a fact this path, as you get closer and closer to it, and then start on that journey into this hidden city, that the path itself is cobblestone. So it's actually loose stone. It's like gravel. So you avoid that very quickly, and you go onto the grass and the moss, making sure that looking behind you, you're not leaving any footprints at all, and you don't seem to be. You're quick enough on your feet and light enough so that it's not leaving any embedding or sound, and it's cushioning your footfalls. As you get closer into the town, however, you then notice on top of the slaves and guards and children sparring on the grass as well, which you definitely avoid, there are two other things that you notice. The first is that there are three things. The first is that there are many outdoor tables, and it seems like this is a perpetual feast whereby other drow bring food on platters, mostly fish and mushroom and root vegetables, towards tables, sit them on these long stone tables, and there are drow all around it. They don't seem to be conversing too much, only whispers and light chatter, certainly nothing mirthful, as they just tend to eat and then leave once they've had their fill, and others then take their place, other drow, guards or children, depending on who's hungry. There are animals, creatures here, that seem to abide by themselves. Small and large, dark, furred, cat-like creatures with small wings. There are a plentiful of these that just stalk underneath pine trees that now start to form up around these tables and around some of the gardens that make up part of the homes that you now see coming closer. They're small though, they don't take up too much height at all. And they're very neatly trimmed and very neatly tended as well. And then you notice that there's another type of guard here that seems to roam freely. Dwarves, with their skin red, blotchy, blind-eyed, their lips full of rashes in different stages. They're, again, not too much worn, loincloths or just simple shirt and trousers, but you can see their feet blistered and their arms scab over. As you can see, dwarves of the red, that have the Red Death, are being used as some sort of deterrent, for they seem to be more so around entrances to other tunnels that lead outward and inward. There are probably about 25 of these tunnels that you've counted on the very far sides of this very circular looking enormous place. The ceiling high and unable to really see the very canopy of it. But you do notice that the stalactites that point downward, they have living on them what seem to be enormous bats, massive, simply just hanging there, sleeping, watching, you're not sure. As you make your way around, avoiding the dwarves by a long shot, avoiding the tables of people eating. Are you looking for anything specifically?
I guess I'm just looking for anything useful to tell the group that, and particularly pass on to the army, that's going to keep us protected, but also lead us to our target.
Gunnar, you make your way upward and you see pretty much the same things. The creatures, the trees, the dwarves.
What are the trees look like?
The pine trees are triangular in shape and go upward to a point. They're probably about twice a human height, so not large at all, like miniature versions of pine trees, and very lush, like the grass is, very, very well tended, because the place does emit a bit of humidity about it. That does seem to make you think that is a big reason why this climate, this micro climate inside this cavern is ideal for plant life, and these fungus that seem to shimmer and hum around you. What languages can you both speak and understand?
Not undercommon.
Celestial, Common, Enquiry.
Cool. Those are languages that don't seem to be spoken at the moment. As you continue your way around, you've picked up a little bit upon your travels as to the understanding of what this language is. You know this to be undercommon, but you just can't keep up with the linguistics of it, and you don't understand what they're saying. But they do speak, and they speak a lot. But when they speak in whispers. I need both of you to make perception checks, please.
Just went cross-eyed doing that. 12.
12.
I'll have Kip say me because
Good to know.
I can see in the dark.
Yep, good to know.
Do you want me to use my perception or his? No,
His is fine. He can relay what he sees.
Well, I'll be sort of viewing through him.
Yep.
Actually, he only has dark vision up to 60 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So, past that, can he still see you just in, like, it's like a dim light? Or?
It'll be like a dim light.
Okay.
He'll take disadvantage on his perception. Yeah.
Yep.
Beyond that. Sorry, what did you get, Amara?
12.
12, yeah, thank you. Eight, okay. So far, as you go deeper and deeper within this place, nothing really catches your eye as to the understanding of even the customs of these people seem weird to you. Although you're not quite sure as to the time of day because the cavern is completely covered, the fact that they still continue to eat a lot is a bit odd, I guess, compared to human and elven and other races. Not too unusual for them to have slaves as far as your readings and understanding of drow go, of all types. Slavery is in fact one of the things that keeps the economy of drow civilization quite open and rich. They tend to trade in that quite a bit. You then notice Amara one thing, and that is a few guards, these more armored patrolling type of drow with two-handed wicked looking halberds and crossbows on their backs. In fact, looking around both of you, you notice everyone is armed. They either have a knife or a crossbow or a combination of the two, or rapiers or sabers. It looks like each citizen can fight, because each of them have very fit, sinewy bodies.
How long has it been?
It's only been a few minutes.
Let me know when it starts at close to 10 minutes.
Yeah. You search enough now, and you've just passed or just started to enter the home areas. They're shaped like rings, where the park area is on the outside, then the tables, and then the homes, and then whatever markets or other larger buildings within, and then the wall that leads upward.
You said everyone's armed.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include kids?
Yep.
I thought you said kids for a second.
Yeah, me too.
So there's these like little children running around with weapons.
They sure are. Yep. They have smaller versions of those weapons, like short swords, but they are live. They are sharp.
I'm gonna I can see Gunner, I assume, just flying above me somewhere.
Looking up, yep, you see him.
I'm going to
He's almost keeping pace with you.
communicate with him in his mind and say, everyone is carrying weapons. There's like little children carrying weapons right now.
Be careful.
I'll try.
As you get deeper into onto the path itself, or onto paths beyond the tables, it seems like there's more activity, more drow, more slaves. There's a small arena that you've spied a little ways off that seems to be in full effect, where there's these humans that seem to have been captured that are trying to stave off with nets and long sticks some dwarves with the Red Death that are simply blabbering and heading in all directions, some towards the humans, others not, and the humans they look scared. They look like they're trying to simply avoid being touched by them. You see as well now markets starting to appear, where there's not the same sort of loud ruckus bartering that's going on, but simply a quiet exchanging of coin, or exchanging of slaves, or exchanging of goods for services. Another 5 or 10 minutes pass as you continue your way around.
If it's reached 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I'll have to land.
Okay.
Because I only can fly for 10 minutes.
There are some places that you do spy that you seem to be able to land safely, and that's on top of homes.
Straight through the line.
If you want to try and land on top of a roof, you would seem to think that that's going to be a safer option. Otherwise, if you prefer to land somewhere else, let me know.
You mentioned there was gardens, right?
Mm.
Can I see like a particularly large tree?
Yeah, there are certain trees that are larger than others. As you look around, as you start to feel that spell fade, as it becomes the 9.5 minute mark. There is a particularly large tree, which is closer, however, not in the garden area, but towards the wall.
Out of the way.
It is out of the way. It's sort of between the market area and where the wall is. There's a space of maybe 50 feet, 60 feet between the border around the markets, that ring, and it's just grass and the wall.
Is it another pine tree? Or?
It's another pine tree. It's actually close to an open gate that leads up that hill.
Okay. Does it look like there's a lot of drow around that area?
Looking at the only place looking at it that you can see that there are plentiful of drow would be on the walls themselves. And there are patrols of probably about 20 or so patrols of 2 that are going around the entire perimeter of that wall.
So I'm gonna fly towards the tree, but I'm going to, as I get closer, I'm going to try and keep the tree between the wall and me,
Yep.
so that they can't, I don't know, maybe see me.
Yep.
And I'm going to try and use any physical objects as well for cover. Roofs or whatever, until I can land at the base of the tree.
Sure.
I will recast fly, and I will turn to the tree and just run my hand along the bark, and then snap off a piece of bark,
Okay.
put it in my bag, and then I will fly up
All right.
to find Mara again.
As you fly back up, Mara, what are you doing?
Would I have seen Gunnar just...
Yep. And then as you observe...
I would have like stopped then
Okay.
and just kind of stayed as quiet as I could. Waited until I could see him again.
Okay. So the closest place where you think you wouldn't be bumped into accidentally would be just back to a wall of a random home.
Yep.
And as you do that, you do see almost just a meter beyond you a couple of drow guard start to walk by, and they move on.
I like stop breathing in that moment.
Okay. And you watch Gunnar rise again and start to
very silently just...
move again.
Yeah.
Okay. Make another stealth check, Amara, and then both of you make a perception check again as the
Advantage
time
again,
has
or
passed.
no?
Yes. You're still invisible.
Oh my gosh. 34.
34. Okay.
Maths.
Alrighty. So, what was your perception?
Oh, I rolled perception as well?
Yes, please.
Natural 1.
Natural 1. Okay.
Plus 3.
So +3. All right. It's this time, in fact, Gunnar, that you notice something else, and that is, as you start to rise up again and start to fly, you overhear in common a quick conversation, only a few words, that come from a couple of drow guard on the wall as you pass them. Have you heard anything from her? And the other one responds, I have not. She has taken a couple more. For what purposes? We're not sure, but we must find out. The other one replies, where have they taken her? Up is the response. And a quick glance of eyes show up the hill. As you are now closer than Amara at the moment, and almost at the wall of this place, as you look up, you swore that just before you noticed simply an old, decrepit-looking building, crumbled. But now, it seems as though there is, at least on the outside, enormous blue and pink crystal that is sharp, like dagger, glass dagger sharp, that seems to be enveloping the outside of this building. In fact, you can't see any of this stonework anymore. What you see are these, just like growing out of the earth at the very top of this peak, enormous just cracks of glass that seem to ever so slowly just grow and ever so slowly get larger. Doing anything with that info yet?
I'm gonna hold up a little bit, wait for Amara to get closer to me.
Okay. What are you doing? You're walking where?
Can I see him?
You can see him.
Yeah, kind of towards him.
Okay. You're gonna go.
Obviously keeping off the path.
Sure. You move swiftly and silently from home to home, and jump over small fences that lead into other people's gardens, where you see, where you see essentially slightly different things. You notice inside open windows, essentially. There are bedrolls, there are small kitchens, there are alchemy labs in a lot of these homes as well. You notice that there are still children and teenage-looking drow that seem to be either sleeping or knelt towards like a shrine of some kind. As you pass by, you notice a couple of houses have the same thing. And you get close enough to Gunnar to be able to talk to him again. And you see the same fungus, these same mushrooms, the light blue with the white glow around them too. They don't abate.
I'm gonna say in Gunnar's head, should we keep going or should we go back?
Everything feels wrong. I think something else is happening here. I just overheard two drow speaking in common. And they're talking about this citadel.
What were they saying?
Something about someone being taken there. And they need to find out why. Maybe Lolth has loyalists still here.
Maybe. Maybe we share this with the others, see what we can make them move. I don't want to dive straight into doing anything crazy without the army here and without everyone else.
Okay, let's go back.
Start making our way back.
All right, both of you. Okay. Because you know the route that you took, Amara, you are familiar with it, so you start to go back the same way.
I'll be stealthier if I can this time.
Yeah, I'll need one more roll of stealth from you and one more roll of perception from both of you too.
Do I get the sense that if I was to book it, I would easily get back well before Amara?
Yep. Yeah, you definitely see down below how Amara's moving. She does need to avoid quite a bit more than you do. And so that movement will be slowed.
How far away are we approximately from where we were?
From where you were? About 200 feet or so.
So not that far really at all.
No. It's a massive cavern, but in terms of the radius, it's about 200 feet radius.
I'm gonna, since I've noticed that she's to
Mm,
the spot.
yes.
I'm going to fly back over towards the drow that was speaking. Are they still there?
They're still there. They keep moving, however, slowly around as their patrol dictates.
I'm going to try and stay close to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're walking, I'm going to be below them along the wall and trying to listen to what they're saying.
Okay. Good to know. Make another perception check for me.
This time, it wouldn't be at a disadvantage because I'm trying to hear, not see.
Yeah, that's right.
My stealth was 37
Mm-hmm.
with a nat 20.
Oh, right, nice.
And my perception was 16. I also want to say that the nat 20 was rolled on the Aeoncraft dice.
Vengeance is
Vengeance.
repentance, or whatever it is.
Still here.
17.
17, cool.
My patron is actually not called Sonari, it's Aeoncraft. Sitting here watching me dice roll.
Nice. Okay, so without trouble, you go. You start with making your way back, and you
Flips
are.
and shit.
Um,
Not really.
You sneakily and quickly, with precision, avoid the dwarves, avoid the activity, and go between, almost sliding past a quick server of a platter of goods for one of the tables. You duck underneath the tray, just in time, and you do notice or overhear another conversation just before you do arrive back at the cavern entrance. And this is from a couple of children that are in the garden closer to the cavern entrance that are dueling. As one of them gets cut on the shoulder with a blow, a successful blow from the other child's sword, you hear initially a ha, but then the other one holds the hand over the wounded shoulder and says back, "Are you stupid? She will need me now." And he almost fearfully looks behind him up towards the center of the city.
Okay. I'm gonna still keep going.
Yep. As you continue to listen in, Gunnar, on the conversation, nothing happens for another couple of minutes, and then another quick conversation occurs. But what if she seems distracted? No one has seen her. Only heard things. And a whisper from someone else. I've not heard this before. Have you? And the other one seems to reply, no. It seems quite odd, but no one but her closest are able to see her, and those wounded of our own kind, obviously. Whatever whispers are coming from this other being, I fear for us. And that conversation then doesn't continue. Amari, you make it back to the cavern entrance.
I will fly back
Alright.
as fast as I can.
Yep. And you fly back with enough time for that spell to have a couple more minutes remaining, but you know that that spell is waning now, and you, Thorum and Rook, watch as your compatriots return. While they were away, however, were you wanting to do anything in particular? Converse or do anything else?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to my Lestrom and say, do you remember when you got crushed by that giant, when that giant warforged appeared in the Shan and crushed you?
That was an unfortunate event, yes.
Do you remember a certain someone coming along and healing you and saving your life?
I do.
And yet, you have never mentioned it.
I hope my actions had spoken louder than my words, but you are right. To be honest, I was ashamed.
Was it when you saw the monument they built to us on that street? You not hear about that? You go back there, there's a little monument. Someone wrote a poem on it. I don't know who.
I was... Make a deception check.
Yeah, I think I'll let you get away with that.
Yeah, make a deception check.
Hey! Well, we'll see. 15?
I don't know who did it either.
Yes!
But I was ashamed because I knew I could have done more. And I did not. I'm trying to. I hope my demonstrations in the Moreau Holds can attest to that. Thus far.
You've done more than enough. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I had a good conversation with Rook, and he had given me perspective on your plight, such as it is. And so I am sworn to do better for you all. You have my word.
I know. That's all I have.
Anything you wanted to do?
Not much matters now, but when did you become aware of Friezo's betrayal?
I suspected. To call out an archmage of the 12 needs plentiful proof, and I did not have that. It was only when I caught him talking to the Warforged in secret. It made me suspicious, and I confronted him, and not long after that did I voice my concerns with others, including King Boranel. Unfortunately, he shook off that accusation.
Might I ask? And I appreciate what you said about when we spoke. And I would pull upon your wisdom now. What is your thoughts of King Boran? Put much stock in him.
A simple king, a wise one, but simple, not understanding or not wanting to understand the brevity of the situation that we are in, but only concerned with his country. His sight is thin.
I have feared that his foresight might not to be as broad as I had hoped.
But that is to be human. That is unfortunate, but not uncommon. That is up to us to overtake that responsibility.
But you do see him as just for all of his folly.
I do. Yes.
I have great hopes for New Syria.
As do I.
You sire.
As do I.
If you could have anything to drink, what would it be in this moment?
I am partial to a cool milk.
I'm not so much sure what this can do, but I reach into my rucksack and pull out King Brownell's cup. And the instruction was to imagine what it is?
King Baronel said to name what you would like, what liquid you would like in the cup.
Milk!
And I say, I've not yet tried this, so laugh at me if you will. Cool milk.
The milk is wearing like Ray-Ban sunglasses and smoking a joint.
Yo, what's up?
For a moment, nothing happens, but then, from the very bottom of this large mug, you see a white liquid just start to bubble into existence and slowly rise and form at the very top of the lip of this receptacle. And there, it seems, is the liquid that you have called upon it. Malestra looks at the cup and you and gives a bit of a smirk and says, "It is welcome."
Let's toast then, and let us share better thoughts from here. And I pass the drink to her.
She takes a very, immediately with two hands, a very big sip. And neatly, not as to spill any. And she sort of breathes out a sigh. That is welcome.
Not yet tried cool milk, but Thorum?
I'll drink this milk.
I take a sip.
It's fresh. It's cool.
So it's warm then.
It's well, fair.
It's lukewarm.
Fair.
Straight from the udder.
It went from the other into some sort of ice box and then straight into the cup. And it tastes beautiful. It's probably the best milk you've tasted. And it's just cow's milk.
Pass it to the throat.
And it's refreshing.
No, I'll have some of that
Pass the
refreshing.
coconut.
I'll have some of that refreshing milk.
You take a big gulp as well. And it's
replenished.
Milk was a bad choice.
it's healthy. It's healthy and it's fresh and it's it tastes very sweet. It's great.
Milk is for babies.
I like it. I drink the milk.
Just for the purposes of this, as you take that sip, Thorum, that's exactly the moment when you gonna come in and notice this sight of this white liquid being
Weird
drunk
milk sharing ritual.
between them. Yes.
Ugh, milk is for babies. Yuck.
Just got the surviving music in my mind.
Kana, welcome back. Have some communal milk.
I don't want to
Are we
hear that.
still
Thank you.
invisible? Can
Yes,
they
you
see
are.
us?
Yeah, they still can.
That's disgusting.
Communal part or the milk part?
What? Want to get another stuff? You pick one. Yeah. No, thank you.
There's probably some things that we should share with you.
Oh yeah. I forgot where we were.
This place is really weird. There's a lot of like tables outdoors and everyone just like takes in turns eating. It's really strange. They have people that just bring them food and they eat. So it's really strange. There's also these like weird cat-like creatures. They have wings. They're black. And they just kind of are by themselves.
I don't think I saw those.
Anyway, there's
How
lots
big
of,
were they?
How big were they?
They were anywhere between a house cat size to a tiger size.
They
It
were
varied.
like small little cats, but then there were big ones too that were probably closer to tiger size, I guess. If you want to be specific. There were a lot of dwarves that
Is that
were
like a Siberian tiger or a Bengal?
anyway afflicted by the Red Death. They were being used as guards. There were quite a few of them.
Were they standing guard or just milling around the entrances to the tunnel?
They were standing, right? They weren't walking around.
They were actually free to walk around as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
And they were, and the ones that were just had the field to themselves.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they weren't chained, if that's what you're asking. They could move if they wanted to, and some of them did. The eating thing is weird. That weirded me out a little bit. But another strange thing. Everyone has weapons. Like, every single person in this place has weapons. There were kids with weapons. I watched 2 kids fight. One of them, like, stabbed the other one in the shoulder. Not really bad, but enough to, like, cut. And as soon as that happened, they were like, "You're stupid. She's gonna need me now." And then they looked towards, like, the center of the city. It's just really strange. That's really all I could probably pick up on.
I'm going to turn to Melissa and say, is it normal for the drow to harm themselves like this, even the children?
Molestra speaks first. She says, "Oh yes, the drow are a fighting race. From young, they teach their children to guard, to watch their backs. Betrayal happens within their kind on a daily basis. They must defend, not simply from the outside, but from their own friends that might have loyalties to others in a moment's change."
There was also this arena, and this arena had all these humans in it, and there were all these dwarves with the Red Death that were kind of like running around them. The humans looked really scared.
Is any of this, except for the Red Death part, does any of this like match up with what I read in that book that Ragath gave me?
Of the drow? Yeah, a lot of it does. There is a particular attitude among the drow, the superiority that they seem to uphold over other races, and they do with the other races what they will. Slavery is a commonality with the drow, and they utilize their slaves for all manner of nasty things. Some examples of that are anywhere from serving them food to sport, like whipping them or making an example of them. They can belittle them. They can shout insults. They pour hot liquids on them just to see what reaction they would have. It's an evil sentiment that they would have on others. As well as that, though, Molestra seems to have it in the right as well. There are factions that make up a drow community. All of those factions do look up to a matron mother to uphold the law in the land. But within these factions, if one person were to stab and kill their sister, it would be looked upon as an act of heroism or bravery, not as an act of betrayal. And it is deserving of that person then to rise up in the ranks and become more of a noble or get rewarded for that act. And yes, the children, the society of it is that the children are trained at a very early age to protect themselves, because they are as vulnerable as adults in this society. A particularly skilled child can rise up above all and become quite powerful, the head of a faction even, if they are skillful, smart, sneaky enough.
I'm going to turn to Malestra. I think those dwarves are some kind of living caltrop. The idea, I think, is that whichever of these tunnels the army surges out of, they'll run into a field of their own infected.
I am afraid that they may come across this as well.
Do you know which of the tunnels they're likely to come from?
She sort of looks around a little bit. That one. And she points essentially a little bit to the right of where you are, but almost on the opposite end of this circular cavern. There is in the far distance a small entrance like the one that you're entering. They will not all fit at once. I am afraid that they will be bottlenecked and they will be slaughtered. I hope that they realize this and come through multiple, but that is their shortest entrance.
Malestra, might there be something of value on the dwarf you know that is leading this army that you can describe to me?
He carries all the time an enormous hammer. It is pure meter. It's most likely about double his height, but he wields it like it is a toy, with skill. It is...
I need more detail.
It has a large sapphire on the base. It also has, at the top, how can I describe it? A pointed end on each side, like concave.
I'm closing my eyes and just listening to the words
Okay.
as she describes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess every description she gives, my hands light up.
Yeah.
I'm attempting to locate object.
Okay. So if you've never seen this before but have a description, what's the rules behind that?
This is what always tricks me up. Describe or name an object that is
Familiar to you.
To you.
Cool.
You sense the direction of the objects. Well, I'm going to need to stop there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So as
Keyword familiar.
Yep. Yeah, that is a key word, and
Yeah.
you know this as much as your mind's eye suspects that it knows what this thing looks like with Malestra's.
Could you describe me the crystal if I've seen it before? Or a type of crystal?
Do you want to ask her?
Yeah.
Instead of describing it by word,
Well, idea of what the crystal is if I'm familiar to it.
as much as you ask that question, your invisibilities dissipate, and you are now visible again, Amara and Gunnar.
I am going to just not say anything, wander off a little bit back into where we came, just
Yep.
out of sight if I can.
Okay.
I'll sit down cross-legged and meditate.
Alright. And then, as the invisibility fades, she rolls her hands in a circular motion and then holds it upright, and then shimmering into existence, blurred slightly and wavering, but a minor illusion, an image of an exact look of what she has described. This large silver hammer, double-handed. It looks like she missed the description of there are grips specifically at the bottom where two hands would fit quite snugly, It does have that sapphire at the bottom, a large, multifaceted one that's embedded into the hilt, so you can only see the one half of it. It rises up and it has rings around the outside of silver as well. And it does have runes, plenty of dwarven-looking runes around each ring that seems to glow ever so slightly. And at the top of it, there seems to be, it looks like a stump of a tree, but in the shape, in the material of metal. And it has the same cracks in it that you'd find in a stump. And on the ends of these, there is this smooth, concave, sort of into a point that this hammer ends. And that is extremely smooth and shiny. And in the middle, in the center top, another sapphire.
I guess I try and familiarize myself with that bit of equipment.
Cool.
And then continue to...
This will, even by looking at it, it'll take a couple of attempts to see if you are successful.
Alright. Do you want me to roll something?
It's more about it's a spell slot that you're using, right?
I'm using a spell slot.
Yeah, so it's about you telling me how many you want to try and use up before you want to...
Let's go and say I waste one because unsuccessful, and then I'll use another one after seeing the illusion.
Okay. So as you close your eyes and picture this thing now that you see...
Like, is that what you do?
Yeah.
Does it take an action?
Yeah, one action.
One action, okay.
Concentration up to 10 minutes.
Yep. Oh, is it? Up to 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. While that 10 minutes is happening then, well, it doesn't cast after 10, it's one action cast, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'd imagine I didn't get a grasp on the first time, so I tried it again after the description.
Okay.
So starting from there.
Right. And it's within how much? A mile?
Yeah, 100 feet.
Sorry, it's 100 feet.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet? Cool.
Yeah.
Let me just check something quickly.
I'm gonna get out of scale of a Mother Matron then nearby.
Okay, good to know.
Did we talk?
As you close your eyes and think of this weapon, the second spell slot does not take effect. And you either, and you're not quite sure, but you either this item is too far out to detect, or it's just not familiar enough to.
Alright, then.
Because the spell, if it says familiar, just for future reference as well, not to say it's because of it, but it may just be something that you either might need to study for a bit longer, perhaps, or at least hold. Because you had held something before for 10 minutes and that helped.
This works. Really?
Wait a minute.
I don't think I can do anything else.
That's okay. Have a think. In the meantime, you guys. Yep, meditating. Thought of anything?
I look concernedly at Molestra. Will the dwarves... Surely by this point they're past being concerned at the sight of a few of their own race. Will they hesitate or will they cut down these dwarves that have been left out here to scale?
Molestra turns to you and with a bit of a squinted eye, she looks a bit defeated, if anything, she says. Archmage Duke Roniont has ordered the dwarfs to be cut down without hesitation because they know their own fate is sealed if they were to be touched. They know of this plight and they know what to do for the greater good.
If you want to contact him and let him know, we can create a distraction so they can get inside.
I am assuming, Rook, that did not work.
From going like that, I clasp my hands in frustration and sadness. I cannot sense them anywhere close to me.
Let me try now. She closes her eyes and under her breath mutters something. You can see there's a slight pause. Then she opens her eyes again. Ready ourselves. Do what you must. Prepare. Do it.
What?
I release my...
Okay.
You what?
Sounds familiar.
He releases the boo.
What is going on?
And she looks around, looks towards all of you, and to you, Malestra. To you, Amara. Amara!
Yes, I break out of it. I look subtly offended.
Can I just say, like 3 arrows?
Yep.
And of course something on them.
Yep, okay, good to know.
What's happening?
Be ready. I think
I can make a distraction.
you hear this enormous boom as the entire cavern and your hall just rattle and shake as bits of rock just come crashing down around you. Bits of stone as the entire thing moves. You look beyond all of a sudden and you see this cavern suddenly go quiet and then shouts in a language you don't know. Anyone know? Do you guys know Uncommon?
No.
Undercommon?
Uncommon.
Thundercommon.
Haha. As you all hear shouts coming from within, echoes, and then another almost explosion of rock hits your ears, and it's deafening. And it echoes through this cavern so loud you don't know where it's coming from. You can make perception checks if you want.
I'm gonna stand up from where I was sitting.
Okay?
Make my way to the group.
Yep. Alrighty.
So I'm not alone.
Okay.
Perception check.
How does the city respond as this happens?
As you watch, you see that there is an enormous wave of dark figures, drow, that have now unhinged their scabbards and pulled out their weapons. The crossbows are at the ready. They are moving en masse towards the right of the city. So as you're looking into the city, they're moving towards the right of it. As an enormous, hundreds and hundreds of them are moving, and you can even see through the homes, out of the homes, there are more drow coming. You see these enormous bats, and you hear screeching as they flap their wings and start also making their way towards the right-hand side of this city. You can also see now, from above, there are enormous thorax, like the enormous backs that come out of the ceiling as spiders in their hundreds now scatter in that direction as well. And even from the very earth, you see that these lids start to open up underground and more drow start to climb out of them. As you see, that's what the city is doing. It is preparing for something, as it seems to be moving towards the right. What were your?
Is that the direction that she said they were coming from?
To an effect, she did say towards the middle right. But what were your perception checks?
17.
Absolutely terrible.
Cool. 17. That's okay.
Sorry, I didn't know it was the raw one.
That's okay.
Not good. That is my apologies.
That's alright.
Hey.
An 8?
An 8.
Alrighty. Cool. So Amara and Rook, you both follow beyond this citizen army of drow that seem to be moving in quick pace, with cats with wings that are either gliding or hopping over and in between these people as well, under some sort of instruction they're moving to. Go on, the gunner.
You say cats?
Yes.
What are you saying? Cats?
Cats.
No, both.
Yeah.
Cats as well as cats.
Yes.
Have I seen these cats before?
Make a nature check for me. I mean, nature or history, one or the other, whichever one you prefer.
Because there was something similar that chased me down once.
Looking
or
at
am I mistaken?
looking at it, it looks very similar. Yes.
Is it nature?
Or history.
Ba, 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 ba.
10 in total? Okay. They do look familiar, so it does look as though it is a very similar shape. So you'd assume that it is the same sort of creature that chased you down, yes. Alright, so you both see, not where the entrance to the cavern in that tunnel that Molestus had pointed to, but towards the right of that, between two tunnels. Up above that, where there's sheer rock, that's where there's this enormous crack that's starting to appear in the sheer rock, and it's completely solid, but then another boom, and you see this enormous space crack even more. Large rocks now shatter and start to fall onto the garden and onto drow that are starting to make their way more towards us and roll a little ways before finding their mark and their rest. You then see the crack widening even more as the hole that this thing is, that whatever's occurring is happening, just starts to make way as another poof, and with that, this hole in the rock just appears, and a mountain of stone shatters and falls into the cavern, and you see through it this dwarf that looks about like a giant, like a hill giant in its form. This cat-like eyes of blue glowing, this warhammer of silver in his hands, and he's about 7 times the size of this army of silver armored beings that seem to stride through with a roar. And Juk Roniont, the Archmage of House Kundarak, yells, "Forward!" And you see these army just spring forth, jump over rock, and with hammers in their own hands and shields to their sides, they rise up and as one rush through this now cavern that appears, and the drow also respond with shots of crossbows that come sailing through the air like a black night that land on top of these shields. Some shouts of pain, and for the majority though, these full-plated armored dwarves ignore it as they climb over and make their way closer and closer as they start to meet. What are you doing?
I want to look towards. I want to look towards where those two children were looking towards.
Yep.
Is that like a giant structure, or because I know I didn't perceive what got up?
Yes, it's like a giant. It's like a broken down cathedral.
Is there any movement coming from there?
None.
None.
This is our chance. We need to get to that cathedral now.
I agree. We should move. While they're distracted.
Is that where we think she is?
I would assume so. That's where the children look towards. But that could be anything. It could be anything of power there.
I feel like this decision should be up to Lester.
No, it's not up to me. Now, here is where we make a decision. I can help my compatriot, or I can accompany you. Tell me what to do.
I think we need to go towards this cathedral, and I think we need to find the source of this now. While they're distracted, while they don't know that we're here.
I agree, and Melissa, I think you should come with us.
I can do that.
I think you should make sure that we're invisible.
Yes, and stay invisible.
All of my focus will be this. He can take care of it himself, as you can see.
Mose, are you ready for this?
I say, looks at you and looks at this stream of dwarves that are ready for battle, and she says, "Let's do this."
The decision is made. Let's end this queen's life.
She takes out the dagger and this long sword.
We can't kill her.
So whatever ends, let us go. Let us save the dwarves and fulfill your task thoroughly. And as she walks forward, Malestra looks towards her and she disappears. And that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. She becomes invisible as she walks forward.
We don't see her? We don't see her?
Well, Malestra turned her invisible.
Oh, I thought you meant Melissa turned invisible.
No. Malestra turned you all invisible, and that is where we'll stop.
Fuck. How was that epic music build up at the end?
Cool. Well, for those who stayed with us, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hopefully you enjoyed the evening. And next week we'll pick up where we'll see what the five get up to as they go race
We're known as
towards.
the five now.
Oh yeah, as they head towards their goal and the Mother Matron and see what they end up doing. But thank you. That is us for another week.
Can we play twice a week?
Yeah.
If I leave these cliffhangers for you any longer, I think I won't have a choice. But
Yeah, that's true.
we'll see everybody next week. I'll be online tomorrow testing this amazing setup I've got. And so if you're there, say hi. And I'll be on for a little bit.
If you're not there, don't say hi.
Yeah, don't say hi. No, absolutely not.
If you're not there, tweet the Twitter.
That's it, exactly.
Either me or Michele or one of these guys are definitely required.
I'll twite it. But have a...
Yeah, what?
I'm tired. I'll leave you all to it. Have an amazing night.
Again, thanks for joining, guys. Tell your friends, tell your family. Come check us out.
Bye.
Ciao.